Hey, what's happening, audience? I'm going to record another one, if you don't mind. I want to talk about something. Sometimes in my videos, I talk about the dark side and the light side, and it may come across that I'm like judging the dark side and, worshiping the light side. Um, but that's not what I'm doing. And if you listen to me carefully, you can see that without dark side, as I say, there cannot be the light side. It's just neutrality. As soon as the dark side happens, the light side is born as a complete antidote to the dark side. So, but in this case, I'm talking about specifically of the soul process of facing all these emotions. The question you may have, it says like, wait a second. So, um, what about my dark side? Do I alchemize all of it? Is this right now, I have to become a saint or whatever? And I have to say that you can't alchemize all of it, because you have a body, which is an animal body with animal programming and animal desires, which you can call the dark desires that should be expressed. Okay? And also, if you don't express your dark desires, then it's very difficult to be present to even face the emotions that are coming online. And I don't want to communicate that all you have to do is just alchemize your negative emotions and that's all you got to do. No. Uh, yes, that is a sacred part of your internal union, divine union, right? But then there's also a human part, and the human part has all sorts of programming and conditioning for the dark desires. If those dark desires do not get expressed, then they go into malice. But it doesn't have to go into malice. As I mentioned about the dark masculine, dark feminine, dark masculine turns into tyrant if it cannot express its dominance, and dark feminine turns into manipulative, you know, cunning type of entity. So that causes destruction. The tyrant causes the fearmongering and therefore destruction, and then the feminine uh, causes all sorts of manipulations, and in order to get that dark side satisfied through malice. But just because you have dark side, it doesn't mean that you got to go into malice. Like I said, there's two things you can do. One is the alchemy, and another one is you can call it, I suppose, sexual transmutation, but the dark side can be expressed through uh, sex in a healthy way, and that's basically what I'm specifically talking about. Is that subconscious desire for the man as an animal to be dominant, and subconscious desire for a woman as an animal to be submissive. Those things never go away, and if they are not expressed in sort of consensual sexual play as kinks or whatever, they go into malice. So this is the two ways of dealing with the dark side. There has to be some level of expression because you do have an animal body, and then another, there has to be a sacred bond too. If something is between the sacred and the profane. Profanity is not bad. That's why I'm not judging this thing, because this avoidance of the profanity is avoidance of accepting the fact that you have an animal body. And good luck with that. That's never going to happen. And so some people do all sorts of toxic things, and some toxic things may come across as like very nice things. So they may not go into malice intentionally, but they may use all sorts of coping mechanisms, like, I don't know, religions, and um, like, to distract the fact from the fact that they're in an animal body with animal desires, and pretending like, oh no, I'm above that, I'm saint and a sick or whatever. This is why I'm saying that this is the world of duality, and you cannot alchemize your body away. I mean, technically you can, but then you're not here. If you are here to enjoy life, you got to integrate your animal side with the sacred side. And the way you do that is, of course, you can go nuts about the animal sexual expressions, because that's going to get derailed to degradation if you don't have the sacred bond. Uh, you see, if you don't have a love connection, all those sexually kinky plays is going to go wrong. So there's a way to have both, and actually that is the highest form of love, accepting each other's animal side but not breaking the sacred bond. Because the second you break the sacred bond, and what is the sacred bond? Is something that a polarity connection at the soul level, where you are uh, playing a masculine role in or masculine or feminine role, but that never changes. That basis for the connection must be the same. That's what consist. That's what connection is. Connection is polarization between masculine and feminine. If you have that, if you don't break that, you're gonna have the connection. But if you start fucking around with that, then you're not gonna have a connection. It's not to say that anything else, anywhere else in life, a man cannot, you know, uh, take a feminine role, for example, like about being a musician or whatever, and a woman cannot take a masculine role, like being a CEO or whatever. But as long as this core relationship is between the leader and the follower, and a man leads the relationship and a woman follows in the relationship, as long as it's there, and as long as you, every time there's a challenge to that sacred bond, it's alchemy takes place, and so it strengthens the sacred bond. And the man always takes a masculine role in there, and the woman always takes feminine role in there, and they cannot break this. This is non-negotiable, because that's what consists. That's what encompasses the entire thing that we call connection. That's how you have a connection with one another. And then all these other extra games can be interchangeable, whatever you want. So that's the soul. But then the body connection is about the dominance and submission. The heart connection, it's about devotion and protection. The body is eros, and eros is about the dominance and the submission. And whichever way you look at it, you cannot override the existence of the reality that you are in an animal body, and it will have its own desires, whatever it may be. Okay. And so sometimes, people say the empath and narcissist connection When that happens at the heart level, then of course it's dysfunction. But that dominance and the selfishness, and the, you know, and then that helplessness is a subconscious desire of the animal. That's why I said in the previous videos is that I don't see how you can escape that, and why would you want it to do that? Because that is what adds the the balance of the balance. Something that is a divine or sacred, and a profane or humane. Man, animals or this animal body is a profane thing. Let's just be honest about it. And if you're honest about it, it's not a it's a beautiful thing actually. But if you're not honest about it, it can get ugly, and it then manifests into malice. Okay? So I think the society would be way healthier if there's those two sides could be accepted. That don't judge the all sorts of kinks and animal desires that people may have, and there's an acceptance at the heart level. So you feel that you feel safe to express that. You expressed it. There's love there, and there's this sex there, and nothing flows into malice. There's all sorts of challenges in the soul and the heart that happens are to be alchemized and grow, and animal is to enjoy and transmute the darkness into temporary alignment. And so this is why the animal needs to continue enjoy this process. So there's an enjoyment and growth, and so they both are integrated. If you go way too much into profane and you don't have love in your life, then that's gonna go into degradation. If you go all into sacred and you deny animal body, then that is also going to get derailed, and you're gonna get in some sort of escapism or avoidance, or as they call it, spiritual bypassing, right? Which is, again, man, just like, I'm just gonna be straight with you. And like, sometimes I see these people going for these healing ceremonies, and all they gotta do is to smash real good and get smashed real good, and you'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with these people. They just need to get, you know, they just need to smash. That's all. That's all. But they go into these ceremonies and they do also sin, and they cry and all this stuff, almost simulating sex. But the last thing they would do is to admit the fact that they are an animal. And just go through these nonsense fucking ceremonies in order to release that energy in some dysfunctional way rather than in sexual enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it real. I'm not advocating for one side or the other. I'm saying both are necessary and they both need to be integrated in life. You know? Do you think these people who are supposed to be like awakened, do you think they do not have the normal animal response when a man sees a beautiful or a sexy woman? Do you think they don't have an animal response, no matter how much they be awakened? They do. They may not need to you know, be possessive and horny all about that, but there's still appreciation and there's still the acceptance that, oh, there is this animal attraction that's going on. It's just not, nobody makes a problem out of this, you know? And if anybody is in a human body and doesn't have those natural responses, then there's something broken. They may have broken and the wiring or the natural wiring. You see, and that I don't consider that healthy. Anyway, so the long story short, the way to have the balance of the balance is to have the dark side. The best way to express your dark side without doing some malice in the world is through consensual sexual kinks. And the best way to get that sacred bond connection with the divine within you and others is through alchemizing your negative emotions, which I keep on talking about. The only thing that I'm adding here now is that I'm saying that because you may be listening to me and thinking like, fuck, like how that sounds ideal, but like I still have, you know, these needs, and I still, maybe I watch porn or whatever, and somebody's telling me like, oh, you shouldn't be watching porn, or you shouldn't be having sex, or whatever, like that's not holy, that's not sacred, or whatever, you know. And but what's actually going on? What is going on? And what is going on? It's all right, you know. When there's no animal in your heart, animal is not a problem. It's fun. It's there to enjoy. Because if you don't have the body, you don't have that animal side, there's no, you lose out on so many things. So I'm just saying, there has to be balance everywhere. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm not judging the dark side. I'm just the if I'm opposed to anything is the dark side going into malice. But there's a way to express it, and there's a way to alchemize it. You express your animal side, which is healthy, and you alchemize the animal in your heart, which is not healthy. So, and a lot of people, you know, I just gonna obviously I'm taking liberty of saying speaking the truth here. All the psychological problems, neurosis that women may have is because of subconscious need of being totally helpless and submissive in sex. All the problems that men may have, this anger and control, rage and whatever, it may be that there's a subconscious desire to be dominant and possessive in sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. That cannot be alchemized because that's part of your animal. Okay? It's not good when you go all in about this, like, oh shit, oh, that's the solution. So if I just, you know, do that in sex, then my life is all going to be good. No, because you still have to alchemize the emotions as well. You have to have the expression, natural expression, which is nice and like natural and beautiful when you also have love. So all these animal things take different frame. It's no longer disgusting. It's natural and beautiful because you do have that love and acceptance. The sake between sacred and profane is the highest form of love. Peace. See you in the next one.